June 12 is more than a date on Nigeria's democratic calendar. It is a reminder of sacrifice, struggle, and the enduring aspiration for a nation where power truly belongs to the people. As Nigeria marks another Democracy Day, one question continues to echo across political, economic, and civic spaces. Has Nigeria truly achieved federalism as envisioned at independence? More than 6 decades after independence and over 25 years into the current democratic era, the debate around true federalism remains one of the most persistent and unresolved national conversations. At its core, federalism is a system of governance where power is constitutionally shared between a central authority and federating units, states or regions, each with defined autonomy. In a true federal arrangement, subnational governments are not merely administrative extensions of the center. They possess meaningful control over key resources, security structures, taxation, and development priorities. Nigeria operated a closer version of this structure in the First Republic, where regions had significant control over resources and development planning. Over time, however, successive constitutional changes shifted Nigeria toward a more centralized federation. Today, many argue that the pendulum has swung too far, creating what some describe as a unitary system disguised as federalism. Several structural and governance challenges continue to fuel calls for reform. 1. Over-centralization of power, where key responsibilities such as policing, major taxation powers, resource control, and key regulatory functions remain heavily concentrated at the federal level. Critics argue this limits innovation and slows development at the state level. 2. Resource control and fiscal dependence. Nigeria's revenue allocation system remains a major point of contention. Many states depend heavily on monthly allocation from the federal account, raising concerns about productivity, accountability, and fiscal independence. 3. Security architecture. With rising insecurity in many parts of the country, there is increasing debate over whether a centralized police system is still effective. Advocates of restructuring call for state policing or decentralized security frameworks. 4. Inequality in development. Regional disparities in infrastructure, education, healthcare, and industrial growth continue to widen. Critics argue that a one-size-fits-all federal approach does not adequately address Nigeria's diversity. And 5. Constitutional constraints. Many reform advocates point to the 1999 Constitution as amended as heavily centralized and in need of restructuring to reflect Nigeria's diversity and modern governance realities. While the call for restructuring remains strong, there are concerns, however, raised against radical decentralization. Some fear that greater state autonomy could deepen ethnic or regional fragmentation. Others argue that weaker central control may lead to uneven development or governance inconsistencies across states. There is also concern about capacity, whether all states currently have the institutional strength to manage expanded responsibilities effectively. These concerns suggest that any reform must be carefully balanced to avoid instability. Despite different views, there is growing consensus that Nigeria's federal system requires recalibration rather than abandonment. Possible way forward may include gradual decentralization of powers, fiscal federalism reform, constitutional reform process, strengthening institutions and not just structures, and then intergovernmental cooperation frameworks. As Nigeria reflects on June 12 and the journey of its democracy, the conversation on true federalism remains unfinished business. The challenge is not merely about restructuring power, but about building a system that works, one that reflects Nigeria's diversity while ensuring unity, equity, and development. The question is no longer whether reform is needed, but how soon and how boldly Nigeria is willing to define its federal future. Because ultimately, the strength of any federation lies not only in the concentration of power, but in the balance that allows every part of the nation to thrive.
Moshood Kashimawo Olawale Abiola, GCFR, also known as MKO Abiola, was a Nigerian businessman, publisher, and politician. He was the traditional generalissimo of the Oyo Empire and from the Egba stock of Western Nigeria. MKO Abiola ran for the presidency in 1993, for which the election results were annulled by the then military president Ibrahim Babangida because of allegations that the conduct of the election and outcome were corrupt and unfair. June 6, 2018, Abiola was awarded the National Honor Grand Commander of the Order of the Federal Republic, GCFR, an honor awarded to only Nigerian heads of states posthumously by President Muhammadu Buhari, and Nigeria's Democracy Day was also changed from May 29 to June 12 in commemoration of the annulled election.
In recognition of his immense and meritorious contribution to the growth and development of commerce, agriculture, industry, sports, journalism, MKO Abiola, an outstanding industrialist, a businessman of repute, and a philanthropist par excellence, is today honored with the award of Grand Commander of the Federal Republic, GCFR. Your Excellency, I present Basharun Moshood Kashimawo Olawale Abiola for the conferment of the posthumous award of the Grand Commander of the Federal Republic, GCFR.
Abiola's support in the June 1993 presidential election cut across all geopolitical zones among a few politicians to accomplish such a spread during his time. By the time of his death, he had become an unexpected but accepted symbol of democracy. Now let's look at his early life. MKO Abiola was born August 24, 1937 in Abeokuta, southwest Ogun State, to the family of Salawu and Suliyat Wurola Abiola. His father was a produce trader who primarily traded in cocoa, and his mother traded in kola nuts. Moshood Abiola was his father's 23rd child, but the first of them to survive infancy, hence the name Kashimawo, which means, let us wait and see. It was not until he was 15 that he was properly named Moshood by his parents. Abiola attended African Central School, Abeokuta, for his primary education. As a young boy, he assisted his father in the cocoa trade, but by the end of 1946, his father's business venture was failing, precipitated by the destruction of a cocoa consignment declared by a produce inspector to be of poor quality grade and unworthy for export and to be destroyed immediately. At the age of 9, he started his first business, selling firewood gathered in the forest at dawn before school to support his father and siblings. Abiola founded a band at the age of 15 and would perform at various ceremonies in exchange for food. Abiola was eventually able to require payment for his performances and use the money to support his family and his secondary education at the Baptist Boys High School, Abeokuta. He was the editor of the school magazine, The Trumpeter, and Olusegun Obasanjo was deputy editor. At the age of 19, he joined the National Council of Nigeria and the Cameroons, ostensibly because of its stronger Pan-African origin compared with the Obafemi Awolowo-led Action Group. In 1960, he obtained a government scholarship to study at the University of Glasgow, where he later earned a degree in accountancy and qualified as a chartered accountant. He later became a fellow of the Institute of Chartered Accountants of Nigeria, ICAN. Let's look at his business career. In 1956, Moshood Abiola started his professional life as a bank clerk with Barclays Bank in Ibadan, southwest Nigeria. In addition to his duties throughout the Middle East and Africa, Abiola invested heavily in Nigeria and West Africa. He set up Abiola Farms, Abiola Bookshops, Radio Communications Nigeria, Wonder Bakeries, Concord Press, Concord Airlines, Summit Oil International Limited, Africa Ocean Lines, Habib Bank, Decca West Africa Limited, and Abiola Football Club. In 1983, he teamed up with Shehu Musa Yar'Adua, Bamanga Tokor, and Raymond Dokbesi to establish Africa Ocean Lines. Now to his involvement in politics. Abiola's involvement in politics started early on in life when he joined the NCNC, that is, the National Council of Nigeria and the Cameroon, at the age of 19. Now in 1979, the military government kept its word and handed over power to the civilian government. As Abiola was already involved in politics, he joined the ruling National Party of Nigeria, NPN, in 1980 and was elected the state chairman of his party. Re-election was done in 1983 and everything looks promising since the re-elected president was from Abiola's party, and based on the true transition to power in 1979, Abiola was eligible to go for the post of presidential candidate after the tenure of the re-elected president.
Usman Aliyu Shagari, do solemnly swear that I will be faithful, and bear true allegiance to the Federal Republic of Nigeria, that as President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, that as the President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria.
However, his hope to become the president was shortly dashed away for the first time in 1983 when a military coup d'etat swept away the re-elected president of his party and ended civilian rule in the country. Now, after a decade of military rule, General Ibrahim Babangida came under pressure to return democratic rule to Nigeria. After an aborted initial primary, Abiola stood for the presidential nomination of the Social Democratic Party and beat Ambassador Babagana Kingibe and Atiku Abubakar to secure the presidential nomination of the SDP ahead of the June 12, 1993 presidential elections. Abiola announced his candidacy for president in February 1993. This was after a previous round of presidential primaries had been cancelled by the military president, Babangida. During the first ballot, Abiola was able to score a slim majority vote of 3,617 to Kingibe's 3,225. A second round was contested 2 days later, and Abiola again emerged victorious with a slim margin, and he became the party's presidential candidate for the June 12 election.
Now why for this life, oh, now so palava. I tire for this problem, I tire for life, oh, Guinea. No work, no food, no no house, no light. The small water then they bring na so dirty they pull am. The small money I dey get na so transport they chop am. Abba, school low, na headache, hospital no work, I tire for life oh. My brother, wetin you dey think oh? My sister, help don't come. SDP, MKO, Kingibe, action. MKO, Kingibe, SDP, progress. Abiola na the hope, oh, SDP na the party to solve our problem and better our life oh. MKO, 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 action. Abiola, 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 progress. Na him be the hope oh, for better tomorrow.
Abiola's political message was an optimistic future for Nigeria with slogans such as farewell to poverty, at last, our rays of hope, and the burden of schooling. His economic policy included negotiations with foreign creditors and better management of the country's international debts. In addition, increased cooperation with the foreign community while presenting himself as someone the international community can trust. So let's talk about the famous Ekpetedo Declaration. Ekpetedo, Lagos Island, is a famous site where the late Chief MKO Abiola proclaimed himself the President of Nigeria following the annulment of the June 12, 1993 presidential election. That was on June 11, 1994, a day to the one-year anniversary of the election, and on his return from a short spell abroad to galvanize international support to claim his mandate.
Assuming there was good faith on the part of government, all matters relating to the election should have gone to the tribunal set up by law for such cases and should only have been initiated by persons or bodies that had genuine interest in the election. Instead, we are being told that the judiciary behaved so badly that I, Moshood Kashimawo Olawale Abiola, should be penalized for his conduct. It is incredible. In view of all this, I find the conclusion unfortunate but inescapable that the federal military government is guilty of bad faith, pure and simple. No one has accused me of any offense against any known electoral law or regulation. The people of this country went to polls on Saturday, June 12, 1993, and without let or hindrance chose me as their president. Didn't they?
About 200 policemen came to arrest the acclaimed winner of the June 12, 1993 presidential election at his home in Lagos, southwest Nigeria. However, on the day of his arrest, Abiola will grant one last interview with the British Broadcasting Corporation, BBC, on Thursday, June 23, 1994.
What is happening at your house? Are you being arrested?
I'm being arrested. I'm just going out now with the police.
Hello?
There's a large crowd here, and I was being escorted out to detention by singing the national anthem.
Why are they arresting you?
They are arresting me on an allegation of felony, nameless treason or something like that. They're not doing anything, they're just taking me away. Please let me go. You know, I'm delaying them.
And so where are you now? Are you in your car?
I'm in my car now.
Is it police who are with you in your car, or are they escorted? Are they
Yes, the commissioner of police is in the car with me, and my senior wife is in the car with me.
Why are they letting you talk on the phone to the BBC while they're in the middle of arresting you?
They have come to arrest me, not to arrest my mouth.
You sound very cheerful about it, Chief Abiola.
Of course. You know, it is all part of democracy here.
And you're happy to go to the police and await whatever charges they're going to file against you?
I'm not in any way disturbed by it. Any sacrifice is in order. If it will bring democracy, peace and prosperity to Nigeria.
Is it possible to talk to the Commissioner of Police who's with you in the car?
I don't know if the Commissioner of Police is authorized to talk. He cannot talk to the press.
What is your advice now to your supporters, many of whom we heard a moment ago?
Well, I told them before I left home to just stay calm. It is very, very important that they stay calm.
So you're appealing for calm, you don't want them to take any direct action in your support?
No.
You still say you're the president of Nigeria, but it's not much good if you're going to be in jail.
Well, Mandela was in jail for 27 years. Kenyatta was in jail. I suppose that is one of the qualifications you need in this part of the world. Don't worry yourself, my friend.
MKO Abiola died on July 7, 1998, the day he was due to be released from prison. His death was trailed by suspicious circumstances. An autopsy conducted by international independent pathologists found he died of natural causes, a cardiac arrest. Among the thousands of mourners gathered around Abiola's home in Lagos, there was little sign of the violence sparked by his death. The actual burial took place in a quiet ceremony in a garden compound at his home. Only his family, a few close friends and colleagues attended the ceremony, while thousands of mourners waited near compound's entrance. Some wept, others prayed, but virtually everyone in the massive crowd felt silent during the service. For them, Abiola was a symbol of democracy.
Death is such a final thing, and then death coming in respect of Chief Abiola was out of the blues, not something that was expected at all, so it's not a good day for not just me, but pro-democracy people, Nigerians. Here's a man who people thought didn't have the spunk, didn't have the spunk to carry the mantle that was given him on June 12th.
June 12th represented an idea that everybody in this country can live together as one, that we can treat ourselves as Nigerians without regard to tribe, ethnic origin, religion, and all those things that have been used to divide us. And so when people say that June 12th is dead, I wonder whether they understand what they're saying, because that represented the idea of Nigeria together moving forward, not Nigeria divided, stagnating, slipping further and further down in the League of Nations.
Clamor for June 12 to be declared democracy in Nigeria finally came to a fruitful end as the then President Muhammadu Buhari-led federal government declared June 12 the new date for the celebration of Nigeria's Democracy Day. So June 12 replaced May 29th as a national public holiday in celebration of Nigeria's Democracy Day. Gimalo Angel Ologoke, LN24/7, Lagos.
From Lagos to Lome, Port Harcourt to Accra, LN24/7 delivers your brand across borders, TV, satellite, and online. We're where your customers are.
For them to, be seen or heard, they have to do something crazy.
Africa is watching. Let them watch you. LN24/7. Where the story goes, we go.
Thank you very much. See, for any topic you bring, you want to know the meaning of the topic. What democracy? The world knows that, say, the government of the people, by the people, for the people. That's the only thing we have to look at. Is it possible? Yeah, it is possible. Is it doable? Yes, it's doable. Is it good to be done? Yeah, it's good to be done. Can we do it? Yes, we can do it. Are we ready to do it? That last thing, are we ready to do it? The government of the people, by the people, for the people. Is it good? Yes, it's good. Is it necessary? Oh, very necessary. Can we do it? Yeah. Do we love to do it? Yeah. Are we ready? That's the point. You see what produced Tinubu and the like, who were following Abiola, blah, blah, all of this. We know the story. We cannot talk of Democracy Day without talking about Abiola. We knew what Abiola was handling. We knew all the story of Abiola. We knew the role Babangida played. We knew the role the Abbas played. We knew the role of all of them. We know all of them. We know what happened. We cannot be going into that. We know exactly what really happened, that havoc was done. That's it. Havoc was done. The death of Abiola and the situation only showed us that we can practice democracy. We are able to practice democracy. We love to do it, but we are not ready. That's the problem. If you are hungry, you know food is the answer for your hunger. And you have food. And you love to. But you are not ready to eat. For whatever reason. But be see. You are not ready. We say June 12th, Democracy Day. How did it come about it? But that's the time the fairest election was done in Nigeria, supervised by all members of civilized countries and blah, 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 blah. Which means we have to make sure, starting from that day, we have to practice democracy. Are we practicing it? If you practice democracy, should we have all the problems we have in the country today? Should we have banditry? Should government not be able to do the government work? Should the government be paying ransom to rescue people? If you have the democracy, will any government force any king on any town if you practice democracy? Don't we have story of, I don't want to go into personalities. We don't have situation where kingmakers will say, hey, this is the person we want, but somebody powerful has told the governor said, this is the person I want. And if we don't, I'm not going to sign it. Is that how we practice democracy? Judges will find people guilty for murder and commit them to death, and the governor will say, I cannot sign. Is that democracy? We waste words. We deceive ourselves. And that's why I said there will be consequences. Justice delayed is justice denied. We know what is democracy. Do we practice it? Do we want to practice it? Are we able to practice it? If we are able, are we ready? This is the problem. When there's an election, it's the main thing now. I want to be the president. I want to be the governor. I want to be the chairman of the council. But when I get there, do I do the right thing? And we know. You know yourself that you don't want to do the right thing. Oh, I could have done it, but some people came to me yesterday that if I do it, there will be a problem. What was the excuse of Babangida? He said, oh, you people don't know what happened. Abiola was my friend. But some people came to me that if I do it, there will be a problem. Who are the people? The ballot box should be the people. But we are not doing it. And it's unfortunate. And when problem of God comes, what answer do we have? We don't be panicky. Democracy started with your home. Do you do the right thing in your home? Do you give your wife the rightful position? Does your wife also give you the honor of a husband? Do you do the right thing for your children? Are your children brought up in a way to respect you as the head of the family? Do we have freedom to do your religion the way you want? Is your birthright respected? Do you have the right person on the throne of the presidency, of the Senate, of the House of Representatives, the gubernatorial, each state, the House of Assembly, the chairman of local government, the councillors? Do we have the right people? Instead, we are now bringing in, infiltrating the enemies of democracy. The enemies. What are the enemies? Banditry now coming to battle democracy. Kidnapping now coming to battle democracy. Local thugs now coming that we call government boys to battle democracy. And they are all giving the color of legitimacy, that they are legit. So anybody will now say, hey, I can do that now to make money. Of recently just kidnapped the family of Adelabu, broad daylight, and we see there's government. It's unfortunate. So we don't have to waste time about democracy. There's nothing wrong with democracy. There's nothing wrong with the spelling of democracy. There's nothing wrong with the meaning of democracy. But the point is that, good as it is, are we ready? If we are not ready, why? What is mitigating against it? It still comes back to governance. Ghana one time was saying a thing, oh, if you want to be a president, be a right president. If you want to be a governor, be the good governor. If you want to... Is it the governor that does not want to be? Do the people under the governor want him to be a good governor? But is governor free by himself? Or, if he's free, is he competent? Does he know what to do?
Hello there, and many thanks for joining us once again. This is LN 24/7 special Democracy Day broadcast reaching you live from our studios in Lagos and Abuja, wherever you're watching us around the world. It's June 12th, Nigeria's Day to commemorate and remember a day that Nigerians gave for celebration of democracy and, of course, democratic struggles. Emenike Agu is my name. Glad to be back with you after the morning session where we took you through the journey of a nation, in search of true democratic principles and true democracy, true federalism and all of that. And looking at what the issues have been with democracy in Nigeria. I welcome you back to the evening segment, and we will be here for the next couple of hours looking at the challenges, bedeviling. I'm sorry to use that language, but then that is the truth. We look at the challenges mitigating against progress of democracy in Nigeria. Why is democracy not grown to the expected level? Our guest in the morning session told us that anybody who is 27 years cannot be said to be a baby anymore. So if Nigerian democracy has gone 27 years uninterrupted from 1999 till date, then you cannot say that Nigeria is still crawling, because at 27 years, if you are crawling, then there is a serious problem. So on this segment, we're here to look at the challenges, the cracks in the foundation of democracy in Nigeria. All right, so thanks for staying with us right now. We'll also be joined by our Abuja Center, where we have Lara Owoyewise returning for the evening segment. And of course, we shall also be speaking to stakeholders in the affairs of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, from legal practitioners, civil rights activists, social, civic society advocates, and of course, to you and I, who care about Nigeria, who care about democracy. We shall be doing this, on this segment, and then we shall be moving forward. Expecting to join us, is a human rights lawyer, and of course, pro-democracy activist, Barrister Nathaniel Ojobo, who will be joining us here in the Lagos studio. And now they're in Abuja. We shall also be expecting, to host another set of guests. Jide Ojo, a development consultant, author, and of course, columnist, Punch newspapers, a renowned public affairs analyst. We're also expecting him to join us. Then another legal practitioner, Abdul Oro, will also be joining us. He's a pro-democracy activist. But let's bring in, from our Abuja Center, broadcaster, Lara Owoyewise. Hello, Lara. Thank you for returning for this segment. Welcome.
Good evening to you and to all Nigerians today. Happy Democracy Day once again.
Absolutely. We hear that there have been skirmishes of demonstrations, protests in Abuja. Could you tell us more about this?
Yeah, absolutely, Emenike. Today is not just Democracy Day, but a day for civil rights groups and those who have been agitating for a better Nigeria to make a statement. And today they've come out in different groups across the city to establish the fact that democracy has to survive in Nigeria, democracy has to improve, and the dividends of democracy have to trickle down, to the grassroots. There have been pockets of protests here, that's absolutely correct. At the Eagle Square, around the CBD area, there are reports of peaceful protests, as a matter of fact, across the FCT. But so far, the mood here in Abuja has been somewhat sober.
There's no celebration. You can't see the council that is expected of a democracy day like this. People are mostly indoors. People are spending the day with their families. A few cars are moving around here and there. The roads are practically empty to a large extent. But today, the civil rights groups, civil society organizations, out, a few of them actually, not a big thing, it's not a serious thing. There's no disruption of activities, there's no breakdown of law and order. Today, they make a statement that democracy has to survive in Nigeria.
Absolutely, absolutely. Lara, it also calls for, deep reflections. As I said earlier on, 27 years of uninterrupted democratic rule in Nigeria. Yet Nigerians are not happy. Nigerians say there is nothing to celebrate. We got these feelers on our morning session when we went to the streets. I am also aware, that Abuja Center was also on the streets of Abuja talking to Nigerians. But this is the feedback from the Lagos end. Nigerians don't seem to be happy that democracy has given them reason, to be happy on a day like June 12th. What do you say to that?
Yeah, we went out on the street. Our reporters here went out on the street and they spoke to citizens in the. It's a mixed reaction from here, from the Vox Pop. I don't know if you clicked that Vox Pop from the government here. A few people are happy that Nigeria is in a democratic dispensation. Of course, everybody, any right thinking person will be happy that Nigeria is not under military rule right now. So the feedback from here is that yes, we're happy that Nigeria is a democracy, but hey, what more? We're not feeling the dividends of democracy. A lot of them actually call on leaders, to sit up and do what is right by their country, to do what is right by the people. So the reaction we got here when we went on the street is that yes, we're happy that we're in a democratic dispensation, but we're not happy that the country is not making progress. 7 years of uninterrupted democratic rule. They feel that Nigeria actually deserves better, and that's absolutely correct. They feel that Nigeria should not be west east today, and that is also absolutely correct in the case. They also feel, that the issue of insecurity, which was a recurring decimally all the people from all the reactions we got on the street, the issue of insecurity, the issue of the economy were topmost on the minds of the people we spoke with. They're not happy that insecurity has been allowed to thrive for so long. They're not happy with the issue of kidnappings, banditry, terrorism, armed robbery, and all of that. They're not happy that the economy is not making progress the way they would have expected it to. So yes, we spoke with people here, and it's a mixed reaction. They're happy, they're in a democratic dispensation, but they're not happy that Nigeria has not made progress.
Absolutely. So as we regroup for this evening session, we will probably be looking at why Nigerians are not that 100% happy with 27 years of democratic rule in Nigeria. And then, like we heard in the morning, there's always light at the end of the tunnel. I don't know if it's every tunnel, for instance, the democratic tunnel, but perhaps at the end of this session, we'll also find out if there is light, at the democratic tunnel for Nigeria. But I believe there will always be light. But speaking, about the challenges of democracy in Nigeria, I would want to ask about our guests coming in on this program. Abduloro Esquire and Jide Ojo. Do we have them?
Yes, so the producer, Ivan, will be able to answer that on air right now. I'm not able to give you a feedback. She's in touch with them. She's established contacts with them. I go off the air to ask the council what's going on. I'm absolutely sure that they give the word and they be joining us shortly.
Indeed. All right. So while we wait for our guests, to turn in, Lara, let's begin this evening session looking at the challenges to Nigeria's democracy. We have some of them on graphics. This is challenge number one, electoral integrity that remains compromised, despite technological improvements. For instance, the 2023 elections were marred by violence at polling stations, voter intimidation, vote buying, and logistical failures. Lara, you and I have seen, elections in this country across several years. Nobody can fault this challenge number one as one of the biggest challenges facing democracy in Nigeria. Would I be right to say that?
Sorry, Enrique, can you take that again?
All right, so I was looking at the challenges facing Nigeria's democracy, and I said that the first one I would love to bring to our viewers' notice is the integrity of the electoral process, which remains compromised. And I said that despite technological improvements, I gave 2023 election as an example, and I said it was marred by violence at polling stations, voter intimidation, vote buying, and logistical failures. Like, for instance, according to the 2023 Freedom House report, observers documented widespread irregularities when citizens lose faith that their votes count. When citizens don't think their votes count, democracy becomes a ritual without substance. And I said, would I be right, to say that electoral integrity has been compromised in Nigeria?
Yeah, Enrique, you're absolutely correct. The thing we say about the voice of the people being the voice of God, the people are of the view, those who went out to vote, those who went out to monitor the election, of course, returned and said that 2023 election was marred by so many vices. There were vote buying, there was intimidation, thuggery, ballot starting, the voting materials did not arrive on time at most polling units. And also remember, Enrique, that there were pockets of mistakes in the road. There were both there were accidents, logistic issues that trailed that election in 2023. So yes, we not record an absolute success in 2023. There were setbacks, and we just laid them out there. And the people who actually went to vote, the people who experienced this first time, the people who expected more, who spoke for a high, came back to say that what they expected is not what they met on ground. So absolutely, I think you're correct. From every polling unit, most polling units actually, most states, most local government areas, and everywhere, there are pockets of reports of all the vices to laid out there. And that's the feedback we got as journalists, as those who monitor the election.
Indeed, indeed. And what worries me really is the fact that these things keep reoccurring year in, year out. Election in, election out. And every time you hear, we'll go back to drawing board, we'll look at what the issues are, we'll fix them. Yet, the next election, it gets worse. And I begin to wonder, is it that Nigeria is too big to be governed, or the institutions are too weak, to take care of these issues? For instance, that electoral process, compromised electoral process, is one of the biggest challenges facing democracy in Nigeria. Why are they not ever fixing it?
Okay, I think we have the structural defects, if you ask me. And unless we're able to fix these defects, we keep experiencing this over and over again. Election does not have to be this stressful. Election does not have to be this demanding on the citizens, right, and the voters. Election can be seamless and enjoyable. You can go to work and say cast your vote in a system where structures work. I was outside the country some time ago, and there were some kind of fun elections. And people went to work and they went, did it in the comfort of their homes, voted, and it was okay. So for me, I think the structural defects that we need to improve upon. We need to work on the electoral. We need to work on our electoral reform. We made a little progress, to be honest, a little progress, but we need to work on the structure that allow voters to have confidence in the system, allows voters to feel that yes, we need from where we were to where we should be, even if it's just by a few meters. So we need to work on the systems and work on the structure. And INEC has a lot of work to do in this regard. To bring the voter, honestly, the voter confidence is down at this moment because of all these issues we're talking about. It can be seamless election. Voting can be without stress. To the voter, you don't have to the street, endangering your life on the street at the mercy of the elements, the rainbows and all that, the stars between you. It can be stressful. So that's why I said you need to work on the structure, the steps to make election what it ought to be, and be at par with what happens in other countries and in advanced countries of the world.
Indeed. All right. Addressing the challenges facing democracy in Nigeria, let's go to challenge number 2, which is also huge, and Nigerians can't stop talking about corruption. And they see corruption as the cancer eating from within. You and I can interpret that, severally. Corruption is not just a moral failure. It is democratic emergency. So it has been described as an emergency situation in the Nigerian democratic process. When public funds are stolen, schools collapse. When contracts are awarded to cronies, roads crumble. When justice is for sale, the rule of law dies. Nigeria ranks poorly on global corruption indices, and every point lost is citizens' trust denied. Lara, you and I have seen Nigeria as journalists, as reporters. This point number 2 cannot also be faulted. These are canker worms eating democracy in Nigeria. Shortly, we shall be bringing in our guests to help us make sense, maybe legally, from the legal perspective, and also as stakeholders in the affairs of Nigeria. But Lara, I'll come to you again. Let me give you another challenge, number 3, which is also huge, whichever way you look at it, insecurity in the country and the monopoly of violence. A democracy cannot thrive when the state cannot protect its citizens, right? Boko Haram in the northeast, banditry in the northwest, separatist agitations in the southeast, farmer-herder conflicts in the middle belt. Now the state of insecurity hinders democracy. That are coming on those two.
Yes, Emelike, the issue of insecurity is on the lips of everyone. As things stand now, nobody is immune. Nobody is sane. I want to use that word in quote. Recently, the former Minister of Power had a full dose of what we're talking about. If he had not resigned to go into politics, the headlines would have been that the nephews of the Southern Minister of the Southern Republic of Nigeria were kidnapped. But because he stepped out to go into politics, so it was former minister. If he had been in power, the headlines would have been, catchy, would have been, that bandit struck at the family of the 7th minister of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. As we speak now, there are politicians who have been kidnapped, their family, the relatives, their politicians, as I speak now, who are paying huge ransoms, right? Ransom to these bandits. to secure the release of their family members. So that's what I said. Nobody is immune from this monster that is staring us in the face. We've allowed insecurity to fester. We watched as it came on us, and then it came quietly, it came like a and that is a bang, and it's on our faces everywhere, everybody. The commitment from government, for me, and for a lot of Nigerians, and also not for a lot of Nigerians, the government has not shown enough power, enough commitment, like enough bite to tell this bandit and this terrorist in the face. I have been an advocate of the death penalty for anybody found in this business. If I were the president, or maybe the national security advisor to the president, I would have advocated for the death penalty for anybody arrested in this kind of, so they call it business, right? But it's taking a toll on us, it's taking a toll on our economy, it's taking a toll on our mental health. People now are depressed, people are living in fear, people are, their mental health is messed up because of what is going on in the country. So for me, I've not seen enough bites from the federal government. I've not seen enough bites from from Aso Rock, right? To show that, hey, we mean business and enough is enough. I'm not seeing that bite. And I'm hoping, that we'll get to see it in the next, after this Democracy Day, that maybe something will happen that will change the size of these terrorists and bandits, make them realize that it is no longer business for people. I think we've had enough. What do you think?
Absolutely. I agree with you 100%. 100%. I tell you, there's so much to talk about these challenges facing democracy in Nigeria. Lara, we have a guest here in Lagos studio. We'll just take a break and return with the constitutional lawyer, a pro-democracy lawyer, Nathaniel Ojobo, who joins us here in the studio. All right, you are watching Democracy Day special live here on LN 24/7. After this break, we'll return with Nathaniel Ojobo joining us. Stay with us. All right, great to have you back. There you have 20 high points of President Bola Ahmed Tinubu's address on to the nation on the occasion of Democracy Day commemoration right here in Nigeria. Quite a few of them, you know, are eye-catching. But we will go into now a legal practitioner, human rights lawyer, constitutional lawyer. I hope I'm right. I'm going to go on and on and on, you know, but he is public affairs also concerned analyst, Nathaniel Ojobo Esquire. Great to have you here. Great to have you here. Always smiling, always smiling. I wonder why my guests come in smiling on a day Nigerians say there's nothing to smile about.
Well, what do we have to do than smile? Sometimes you hide your pain in a smile.
Oh. Sometimes you express your pain, you hide it. Oh.
I mean, like Fela sang.
Is that your situation now?
Like Fela sang. I mean, that's pretty much the situation for almost every Nigerian. I would dare say every Nigerian. Cares enough for the identity of this nation. There's not much positivity around, is there? And so we must, as a people, begin to analyze things.
What they are. All right. I know we lost your audio somewhere. Okay. But I guess he's back now. I really love Nigerians to hear what you just told me, because sometimes, you know, you said like Fela sang, suffering
and smiling. That's pretty much the situation of almost every Nigerian, as it were, because, I mean, what is there to do other than smile? Because, I mean, as the day goes by the passing of each day, you continue to experience what it means to be an undermined Nigerian in your own country. I mean, we talk about Nigerians who are outside of the country, who experience all sorts of discriminatory practices against them from other nationals. I mean, that would be understandable because that is not their own country. But it tells a greater story of subjection of Nigerians by the Nigerian nation. You know, so it means so much that for the fact that you are a Nigerian living in Nigeria, you are not able to enjoy the dividends of democracy. A democratic government that does not afford you the basics of what democracy should be about. That tells a sad story, really. So you wouldn't really blame a lot of Nigerians who tell you there is not much or not anything at all to celebrate about after 27 years of uninterrupted democracy. Of course, the narrative out there, especially by those in government, is to celebrate untinkered democracy in the last 27 years. But is that what it should be?
That what it should be?
We should be talking about the benefits. What has this 27 years of uninterrupted democracy? In fact, it's an indictment on the Nigerian nation that we can count 27 unhindered, straight 27 years of democratic government, and we will look back in time and we wouldn't be happier than we are sad. Indeed. That is the story of the Nigerian nation. You talk about a democratic government that cannot guarantee as much as the basic commodity of any democracy rather, which is life and property. You consider the Nigerian constitution upon which the Fourth Republic was built. It says clearly that the business of government, the primary purpose, the very essence of government is the protection of life and property. So the very moment that function is eroded, then there is nothing about democracy in that nation. And so when you consider the Nigerian nation today from 1999 till date, can we say, especially in recent times, that the life of an average Nigerian is protected by this country? Nigerians wake up, go out, they are not assured of the fact that they can come back to their homes alive.
Safely.
Not because they will engage in any criminal activity, simply because of the fact that they are Nigerians. And alone is enough for them to go out and not come back again to their families. That is how bad it is. You cannot as much as guarantee the security of your life. So, I mean, don't blame those who say and think that there is nothing to celebrate about the Nigerian nation. By the way, I also hold the same view. That is not to say that I'm anti-Nigerian. In fact, I consider myself as one who is pro-Nigeria through and through. But we must state the facts for what they are. I also like the fact, I also like the fact that the president indeed acknowledged today that we can criticize his government. We can call him to order, but we should support the nation. And so how do you expect people to support a nation that does not afford them the basics of what it means to be a Nigerian? You know, so I really would want this government to begin to not only pay lip service on such days as this, to come before the screen of Nigerians and read out write-ups from documents and what have you. Beyond that, where is your willpower in making sure that Nigerians are... We are not even asking for too much.
I hope you understand that we are not asking for too much. What Nigerians are asking for are just the basics.
The basic things.
Just protect my life. I can make every other thing available for myself. I can provide my fuel for myself. I can provide every other thing I need for myself. Everything that is required by me, I will get for myself.
So I just need you to give me the basics. Make sure that I am able to go out and come back in safe for me to carry out every other function for myself. How is that too much to ask? That is not too much to ask of the Nigerian government. But they have failed, and not just failed, but woefully. We must say the truth for what it is. We have young children, the most recent one, young children, Mr. Imenike, a child of 2 years. What does a child of 2 years know? Why is this government so insensitive?
What has it done?
Do you understand? It's so bad. Any human who has a conscience and that still supports this government, Mr. Imenike, I dare say such a person needs to search their soul and ask themselves whether they are still humans. Because you have a government that cannot... Are we saying that this government has lost track of what it takes to control the corners of this nation? We cannot go in on these terrorists and get these children out. These people are in custody of these terrorists, these kidnappers, for weeks without end. There is no hope in sight. Yet we say we are celebrating what democracy? What democracy are we celebrating? I think this is an opportunity for us to look at ourselves in the face. The leaders of this nation who have decided to be this wicked should consider the fact of the lives that are under their care, because without the lives of Nigerians, there are no people to govern. I do hope they realize that.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Without their lives, there's nobody to be governed. I want to be, of high spirit on this program, but Barrister Ojobo just hit at some painful points, but we'll get into all of that as we go on. Barrister, we're also joined by, veteran broadcaster in our Abuja Center, Lara Owoye-Wise. Lara, we have Barrister Nathaniel Ojobo here, a human rights lawyer, and of course a pro-democracy activist, constitutional lawyer. I want to bring you into this conversation before we go to United States to bring in another guest. Let's welcome you into this conversation with Nathaniel.
All right, so I assume we're talking about insecurity, right? Because I lost selection temporarily. I think I heard the talk about the Marathina, right? And that is a big lie, on the integrity and the sovereignty of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. It's something that should never have been allowed to happen. Essentially, it's something that I think we are not managing well. Yeah, so I, on my own, spoke with some security process that we have as journalists, and he said this picture to me. He said, Lara, listen, when there is a kidnap, when people are taken and they take 3, 4, 5 people, yes, they want ransom, they want money and all that. But when you see them kidnap a large number of people, they want to use them as human shields. Before now, and I talked about that they are not handling this insecurity well. Before I get to me, I did mention the fact that we're not handling it well, that we're not doing what we should do, right? Now, when people are taken in large numbers, the terrorists, the bandits, whatever we call them, want to use them as human shields. And he told you, we know where these people are. We've pinpointed where they are taking these people, but we can't stop in on them because they're using these children, and the large number of people they've arrested, the people has shared, so remember, I did mention that we should not have allowed this to happen because there is not enough security, there is not enough protection for the citizens. That's why the bandits can confidently walk into a city, a town, a village, a community, and take people in their large numbers. Okay, so the issue of insecurity now, like I said earlier, it's something that is affecting everybody. Everybody is involved now, whether you like it or not. I'm personally looking forward to train, to handle the gun. That's what I've done now. Okay, so a lot of people are taking steps that the government should provide, the services that the government should provide for them. A lot of people are now providing those services for them. We generate our own power, we provide our own water. Now we're providing our own security. And in a nation, in a country, that is called the giant of Africa, in a country that boasts as the big brother of Africa, in a country, that the rest of the world looks up to, the country that has the highest number of blacks on earth, right? This is a no-no.
Indeed, it's a no-no. Barrister, hold your peace. I know she has also raised, a very valid points for this conversation. But let's go to United States. Let's bring in just another guest to join this conversation. The APC chairman, that is the All Progressive Congress chairman in United States of America, is also the special advisor to the APC national chairman on diaspora mobilization, Professor Taiwo Ajibolu Balofin. Prof, always a pleasure having you, talk to us from your base in United States. Welcome to Democracy Day Special.
Thank you very much. You are welcome.
I dare ask, how are you doing over there? Nigeria is celebrating Democracy Day, and the feeling is not too encouraging. So how are you doing over there?
Well, we are doing very well, and Nigerians in the diaspora are also celebrating Democracy Day. So I want to
go ahead.
I want to lead with a depth and not June 12 dates that the country owes to 1993, and the one democracy owes to the people in 2026 in Nigeria. The way I look at it is that I want to honor history without sounding like a government press release and or a critique, that would be sounding like an opposition rally. So my understanding of June 12th is that it's not an holiday per se, but I will describe it as a correction. So for 19 years, as you can see, only activists marked Democracy Day. You see, the military that annulled the June 12 in 1993 election that was won by MK Abiola, and the wound stayed open through Abacha, through Abiola's death in detention, through 3 civilian presidents who kept Democracy Day on May 29. So it was who on June 6, 2018 moved the day, saying June 12 was more symbolic of democracy in Nigeria than May 29 or even October 1st, and conferred the GCFR on Abiola posthumously. That is how I want to open my discourse. So you can see that we have changed the calendar because we could not change the past. June 12 reminds us democracy started not in 1999, but in a ballot Nigerians defended with their lives. The journey so far has two clear chapters: the stability, then stagnation. Now, let's look at the stability, because we can point to 26 years of uninterrupted civilian rule since 1999. No coup d'etat. See, 2015, the first time an opposition party beat an incumbent. That is the beauty of democracy in Nigeria. So we can now look at institutional memory. National Assembly blocking third term in 2006. Doctrine of necessity in 2010. This points to praise on the 2025 Democracy Day address. Now let's look at the stagnation. People feel that in 2025, the GDP grew 3.4% in 2024, and quarter four it 4.6. As I rightly presented to you on this platform last year, Democracy Day like this, this reserves up fivefold, inflation easing. But the same period, commentators also note that Nigeria still hasn't said farewell to poverty. 32 years after Abiola promise, with severe hunger and about 40% youth unemployment. And the narratives changed because the President Bola Ahmed Tinubu is changing the narratives. In the education sector, for the first time, there is a loan offer to students. In comparison to the United States, the United Kingdom, Canada, and Australia, where students have access to resources to go to school. This is part of the achievement of democracy in Nigeria. So what Nigerians are actually seeing on June 12, 2026, which is a great achievement. I can beat my chest that President Bola Ahmed Tinubu on his third year made a very remarkable achievement in the development of Nigeria. June 12, 1993 was Nigeria saying we choose. The annulment taught us that votes without consequences are theater.
All right, Prof.
So 26 years later,
Prof, I'm going to come back to you.
We have kept the form.
Yes, Professor Balofin, I'm going to come back to you because you've said quite a lot. My guest here in the studio, Barrister Nathaniel Ojobo, I've been listening to you, with keen attention. And also my colleague from our Abuja Center, Lara Owoyewise, is a veteran journalist in Nigeria. These stakeholders have seen Nigeria inside out in the last 27 years. I would love to bring them into this conversation. You are the APC chairman in United States of Nigeria, and also the special advisor to the APC national chairman on diaspora mobilization. Barrister, you heard him, clearly.
Very well.
Giving, pass mark to Tinubu. This is not really a scorecard program for Tinubu, but the indices, bounce off what we are discussing, democracy in Nigeria. And I know that you were busy taking notes from what Professor Balofin was saying. How much do you agree with all that he has said, that Nigeria has moved forward a lot under President Tinubu's administration? I'm not saying this because he's the APC chairman. He's also a Nigerian. He said that much.
Now, with utmost respect for Professor Balofin, I think it is an insult. Again, I say this with utmost respect for his personality. I think it is an insult to not just Nigerians, but the sensibilities of Nigerians, for anyone, including the learned prof, to try to speak favorably for and on behalf of this government. What is democracy that we are talking about? I like giving the most simplest and popular, the most populous definition of the term democracy, which virtually the entirety of the world has come to accept. And that is that democracy is the government of the people, by the people, for the people. All of the indices that Professor Balofin has now registered, how has that transformed the life of the common man on the street? Mr. Ekemezi, how has that helped the common man on the street? I do not know for how long the professor has been away from Nigeria. But if you have been in Nigeria in recent times, then we must be honest, without trying to use our political leanings to major in on what is not. Let us be practical. Let us be real. Let us be honest. What has all of these things he has reeled out helped with the common man on the street? How has that improved the livelihood, the income of an average hardworking Nigerian? Let us be practical. I don't like all of these political shenanigans. Be practical and analyze things from the fact of what is on ground. You talk about loans to students. How many students do you know, Mr. Ekemezi, that have benefited from this project? Go out on the street and interview 50 people and ask any of them how many students that they know that has benefited from this. And even if there are such students, what is even this loan offer? Because I read that there's a payment of tuition, assuming without considering that any such offer even exists. There is a payment of tuition and there's 20,000 naira stipend. What can 20,000 naira get anybody in Nigeria today? When a liter of fuel, I bought a liter of fuel yesterday for the sum of 1,320. Keeps fluctuating up and down, in between 1,300. In fact, in up north where I have a family, it is sold for 1,450 in Adamawa State as I speak. I have a mother in Adamawa State. I have a sibling in Adamawa State. I have family over there, and they buy for that much. And yet we are talking about 20,000 naira stipend in today's Nigeria, and we call that an achievement. We call it an achievement. I'm coming. We call it an achievement that because a government or an incumbent president was defeated on the polls. Of course, that is one of it. But how has that eventually helped with the livelihood, the quality of life of the majority of Nigerians?
So when we talk Democracy Day, Nigerians are more interested in the dividends.
That is what it is all about, really. Because if you give me a cloth and I do not put it on to beautify my body, what does it serve? I keep putting it on my shelf, or rather on my wardrobe, and I do not put it on to beautify my body.
Dust.
What does it serve?
Let's go to Abuja. Let's bring in Lara Owoyewise. Lara, you have Professor Taiwo Ajibolu Balofin, who is the APC chairman, United States of America, and also the special advisor to the APC national chairman on diaspora mobilization. He said quite a lot, which Barrister Nathaniel Ojobo here in the studio doesn't quite agree with. Over to you, Lara.
It's perfectly okay. Nigerians are divided at this moment, and for good reason, if you ask me. People who think they know the facts believe with every sense of conviction that the president has taken some steps. I know this. I'm aware that there are steps. Let me give you an example. Before, that's the right answer. Let me establish the fact that it's not like a Senate or a game kind of conversation. But you see, facts are sacred. The facts remain the facts. And I know it's a fact. For example, before this administration came on board, Nigeria was borrowing 10 trillion monthly or yearly to pay civil servants every month. What about, I'll get the quote correct, because we're borrowing to pay civil servants every month, to pay the salaries of the we're borrowing. Now, I think that's part of what Prof in the US is trying to suggest, that we are no longer borrowing because we blocked all the leakages of borrowing, the fuel subsidy, which was, for me, abruptly removed. Fuel subsidy had to go. We had every campaign prior to 2023. Everybody who came and spoke to Nigerians about, oh, I want to be the president, and all of them agreed that fuel subsidy had to go. So yes, fuel subsidy had to go. I actually have a problem with the way it went. It was too abrupt, and a lot of people pushed in on that abruptness. The fuel subsidy had to go. Now, also in support of what Prof is saying, you are a journalist. I am a journalist. The figures are there. That's what I said, facts are stated. Never in the history of this country has any state government received the amount of allocated they are getting from the federal account like they're doing under this administration. I've always advocated, since I found out this fact, I've made several social media posts, hold your government accountable. Governments are making a lot of money from the center. And that's what a lot of them are against local government autonomy. They do not want the money to trickle down to the local government. And that is why I think we should strengthen the local government. The local government autonomy is must, and I'm happy the president did mention it today in his broadcast. The local government must be autonomous of state government. I repeat, without any fear of contradiction, that no state governor, living or dead, has received the amount of allocation the states are getting from the federal account like they're doing presently. So what are we doing with this money? Insecurity is local. Infrastructure, most of it, of course, apart from the federal project America, it's infrastructure. What are they doing with the funds the states are getting from the federal government? We must hold our governments accountable. They're getting a lot of money. And I'm happy that a few of them are putting this money into good use. Look at what's going on in Abia State. The Abia under Governor Oki. Governor Oki is not an APC member, but everybody is into those. He's doing an incredible job. Some other governors, are putting this money into this. What are the other governors doing with their own? And to the guest in the studio, civil rights lawyer, I think he's a lawyer, you're absolutely correct. These things have not taken down. I think this is where the problem is. I think the government is focusing on the macro, right? And it is not trickle down to the micro. Yes. So I'm an incredible optimist. And I know that with time, it will trickle down. That's why I keep saying that we will hold our governors accountable for these things to trickle down to the community, to the grassroots, to the local, to the people, in the rural areas, strengthen family health care, the dilapidated schools, hospitals, and what have you. We must allow this to trickle down. It must translate to tangible deliverables on the tables of Nigerians for them to be able to feed well, for them to be able to get a decent accommodation, for them to have access to power. The Electricity Act that the president signed into law, it's a big step, in this regard. For state governors to oversee power generation and distribution and all of that, what are the state governors doing? It's a big question, and it's something I think we should address today.
That's right.
I align my thoughts entirely with my sister from Abuja. And I mean, because again, if we have to analyze things holistically, I think we must also beam the searchlights on state governments and even on local governments. The little that they receive, what have they done? Not many people even feel the impact of the fact of the existence of local governments from their localities. Some of us do not even know who the local government chairmen are. Right? So the question must be asked of all the three strata of government. I mean, in the president's presidential speech this morning, he, of course, mentioned the fact to he's having, signed into existence.
Financial autonomy to
exactly,
the 774 local governments
the Electricity
in Nigeria.
Act in itself, too. He mentioned that and further stated that by that act, state governments now have the power to generate and distribute electricity. What have they done? We have states that have a lot of sunshine in Nigeria. How have they been able to harness all of that? And of course, she has mentioned that states in Nigeria are currently receiving the highest allocation in the history of the existence of this country. The question that is now to be asked is, what have they done with these allocations? So for me, I keep saying and saying and saying this thing, and I've always said this thing for every time I have the opportunity to say it out, especially on platforms like this. Let us look at the gains. You only run something because there are benefits on it. If you have a business and you are running it, you are not running it because you want to say, oh, I've been in business for 30 years, or 50 years, or for donkey years. You are running the business because after 5, 10 years, you want to look back and say, okay, from this business, I have been able to achieve X, Y, Z. If we look at Nigeria, and if we must be honest, can we say that we have achieved more than we have lost or not achieved in the last 27 years?
Good question that I would love to ask Professor Balofin. Professor Balofin, let's bring you back into this conversation. I mean, we're looking at the challenges that Nigeria's democracy is facing. Let's focus on the economic hardship and the democratic disillusionment. I mean, Nigerians ask simple questions. What does democracy mean to a mother who cannot feed her children? To a graduate who has sent out 500 job applications and received no response, to a farmer whose crops are, rotting over there because there is no road, to the market. And poverty, of course, becomes the enemy of participation. And when survival is the daily battle, civic engagement becomes a luxury. And, Prof, our focus here is, has Nigeria delivered on the promise? And that promise, simply, the dividends of democracy. I said earlier on that it is not a scorecard for the incumbent government, but you cannot totally hold anybody else responsible except the authority that is piloting the affairs of Nigeria. So, has Nigeria delivered on its promise, dividends of democracy?
Yeah. Oh.
Wow, I thought I had his audio. But Prof, if you are still with us, we await your response on that.
We hear you. We hear you.
Okay. Yes. All right. Very good. The question that was raised earlier is that how Nigerians have benefited from democracy, particularly President Bola Ahmed Tinubu. And I want to also share with you, and I also want you to fact check me. And I'm also going to touch on inflation across international level. We'll also do a comparative analysis of inflation, how it has also affected other countries, United States, United Kingdom, Canada, and Australia. And inflation is everywhere, not just Nigeria. So let me touch on how the common man has benefited from the renewed hope agenda of President Bola Ahmed Tinubu. And I want you to fact check me about money in hand, not just in the budget. Yeah, so this, is not, there's no delay in salaries anymore. So states do not need to go about borrowing to pay salaries, which has meant, fewer salary delays at state level and across the board. Over 100,000 Nigerians, including 35,000 civil servants, got affordable consumer credit through Credit Corp in the first year to buy vehicles, solar kits, and household essentials, with a rollout for 400,000 young Nigerians, including coppers, planned for July 2025. I'm sure you have heard about food prices starting to crash after the shock of subsidy removal. Government points to inflation easing gradually. Steadying the prices of food staples like rice and beans. That is the direct link that make to the common man's pot. And I can tell you categorically that I am aware of the price crash of food commodities. I personally witnessed that, not that I was told. Okay? And I already talked about the education that does not wait for the riches only. You know the role of NEFON. I'm not going to go further because I already enumerated on that earlier. And let's talk about small business breathing room. The tax reform package gave small businesses an exemption and created the Office of the Tax Ombudsman to protect taxpayers' rights for kiosk owner across the country. And also, let me talk about digital access as daily utility. A more stable naira for imported basics. So, and by unifying the exchange rates and building reserves, net foreign reserves, we have safer routes now. I was looking at the vision of Shagamu-Bini Expressway. You can go there, take pictures. I've seen the visuals. So, and you can do a comparative analysis of five governments, starting from Obasanjo to Tinubu. I can tell you that President Bola Ahmed Tinubu has done far better than past governments.
Okay.
Regardless of inflation.
Yeah. Okay.
So there's inflation everywhere.
Yes. I understand Abuja. Prof, sorry to cut in. I understand Abuja Center has a question for you. And when we come back from that question, we'll be looking the way forward, as we celebrate 27 years of democracy in Nigeria. Let's get back to Abuja. Lara, you have Professor Balofin with you.
I actually do not have a question, but
Prof.
But to actually say that, some of what Prof is saying are the facts. I did say that facts are there, facts are stated, and the issue is that it is not cooled down. That is the issue. It has not trickled down to the people who should actually feel the impact of the steps that Prof read out earlier. It has not trickled down. I tell you, Emily, our indices, with the World Bank. They are in green. I saw it somewhere. I heard something somewhere. Like, really? Is this the Nigerians are talking about? So, like I just say, the macro is being successful, but it has not trickled down, and that's the fact. It is on the face, there is hunger, there is abject poverty, that is the fact. People cannot afford health care, that is the fact. People cannot afford accommodation. Water, the basic things of life have not trickled down yet to the people, and that is also the fact. So you see, it's a two-way thing. Yes, the government is taking steps, but no, it has not trickled down. You know what happened before now? Is that we were in a peace and we kept speaking. Nigeria was in a peace and we kept speaking and we kept speaking. And then this government came and said, okay, we are not going to give anymore. And it was abrupt, and he blocked all communities, and the impact, there is no palliative system or structure to cushion the effect of the abrupt intervention of the government. What the government did was abrupt. What had to be done, what was abrupt. The palliative should have been on ground before the first visit. There should have been 3 buses. There should have been the health generation and distribution should have been increased and improved upon. There should have been, okay, because we're going to be remote palliative, there will be free healthcare for the next 3 months. Because we're going to remove, a subsidy there will be free healthcare for the next 3 months. Because we're going to remove subsidy, I'm going to make transportation free. The states are going to be free. Not something that will cushion the effect of what we need abruptly. That is where I say the way the government went about it. But yes, subsidy is hard. Because the government is taking steps, and that's the fact. The facts are facts. They are sacred. They are there. You can practice. But it has not trickled down. That is where the dilemma is. That is a big problem. It's a mighty big problem.
Let me also add that, Prof Balofin, again with due respect, is in the US. If things are as great as he says they are in Nigeria, then perhaps Prof Balofin should, with the greatest respect, come back to join us in Nigeria. I'm sure one of the reasons he's there is because he finds that his fortunes are better off there than they are here. And that explains why you go to the international airports in Nigeria, more than 50% of the people you'll find there are young Nigerians moving out in their droves on a daily basis. We talk about the fact that inflation is in every part of the world. Please let us not make deliberate attempts to put forth points that are not factual to Nigerians. Of course, there's inflation everywhere in the world, but what distinguishes the inflation in other parts of the world as against that of Nigeria is the fact that, for example, in places and locations like the US and in other European countries, as inflation increases, the minimum wage is also increased to make everything standardized. When last was the minimum wage in Nigeria increased, and what is the amount again? Please remind me, Mr. Ekemeze. Is it not 75,000 or 70,000 or whatever it is?
Indeed.
And we are saying we want to compare that. What point are we making in saying there's inflation in the world? In all these other European countries, the US and the likes, what is the social welfare structure in those countries? And what is the social welfare structure in Nigeria? Let us not, look, Nigerians are not dumb people. Gone are the days when political compatriots of people in power will come and then bamboozle Nigerians with figures. A Nigerian can be in Nigeria and know exactly what is happening out there. Let us, as much as, look, I keep saying this thing. We may have political leanings and nothing stops that. In fact, humans are by their nature political. But the moment you begin to try to make what is not factual to become factual, that is the problem. Say the fact of what it is. Defend who you want to defend, but don't try to distort the facts. I will say one last thing before we go on the break or whatever it is we're about going on. You don't sell a good wine, or rather, you don't sell a wine. You don't try so hard to sell a wine that is good. Once something is good, it sells itself. When we come here and then we start struggling to reel out points upon points to try to prove that the current administration has been doing well, then it tells you that there's a problem with that administration. A good product sells itself.
I understand that perfectly. That takes me back to Professor Balofin for his final word as we wrap up this segment. Democracy Day celebration, leading us to quite a whole lot, leaving more questions than answers. Prof, I mean, time will not permit us to go beyond this point on this segment. But just as we let you go, let's get your final word to Nigerians on the occasion of 27 years of uninterrupted democracy in Nigeria moving forward.
Well, I can tell you point blank is that I have confidence that this government will improve on our social welfare system, which of course I have a proposal on the table that will improve the lot of Nigerians. And I can tell you that the president is concerned about social welfare system in Nigeria, is concerned about insecurity, and all hands are on deck. And I want to assure Nigerians that Nigeria will be good again. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Professor Taiwo Ajibolu Balofin, the APC chairman in the United States of America. Thank you for joining us on this occasion. He's also the the special advisor to the national chairman, APC, on diaspora mobilization. Thank you so much. We would have you back in the days ahead because our time is so fast spent. Nathaniel Ojobo Esquire. I want to say it. Cheer up, brother.
I mean, what can we do? We have to, Nigeria belongs to all of us. I mean, we wish there was some other place to call home, but you know the problem? The problem is in realizing that there is no other place to call home. And so,
except
this is home. So, no matter how much we try to deny the reality, we must come to terms with it and try to fix things. I know you're about asking me of my final thoughts.
I was going to say, is that your final?
I know you're about asking me of my final thoughts. But my final thoughts are these. And this is not, I mean, you can check me out anywhere. I am not a politician. I'm simply a lawyer who does my job to satisfy the legal needs of my clients. And I say this without trying to make out a political leaning. But like I always say, let the facts be stated. This government hasn't made us to feel that we are in a democracy to the extent that the basics of democracy have not been provided Nigerians. And if we look at the report sheet, the report card of this government in almost the last 4 years, by next year, May would make it 4 years since
indeed
they came into government. If we look at that report card, I am sure if we will be honest with ourselves, we will find that this government hasn't done well. If that is therefore the case, my clarion call, my parting shot to whoever is watching this, and that is a Nigerian of goodwill, is that make hay while the sun is shining. And what do I mean by that? Next year, we are all going to the polls. You may say that it doesn't matter much. It matters, and that is why we have a lot of them trying to come and put out facts, or put out points, some of which are not even facts. That is why we have, again, with utmost respect to the Professor Balofin, come out to try to reel out facts. If those things do not, if it doesn't matter that our vote will count, all of this will not be done. It tells a story. If you believe and are fed up, if you are fed up with the current situation in Nigeria, if you are tired of the status quo, then brace up and do what you need to do. If you haven't registered to be a voter, go do that and ensure to cast your vote in next year's election. At least cast that vote. It may not count, but cast it and defend it.
That may count. Why not?
It may count. It may, of course.
It may count.
It may. It may. But again, I mean, in a country where we have seen a lot, it's okay to express doubt, isn't it?
What a final word from Barrister Nathaniel Ojobo, civil human rights lawyer, actually, and a constitutional lawyer. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you very much.
Thank you for commemorating.
Thank you. I'm always happy to be here, and I mean, we have to keep speaking about the country.
We'll always bring you back.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Happy to be here all the time.
Thank you. Thank you. And from our Abuja Center, Lara Owoyewa, what a celebration or what a commemoration marking Nigeria's Democracy Day. We've got to go. It's been a long journey from morning, till now. Let's give you the room, to take us home.
Yeah, so I just need to thank all the guests that have been on the show today. I just thank you very much for the passion, the commitment you have to see the country move forward. Those who have spoken all against the government, all point to one thing: that mean well for the country. They don't have another country to call you. Also, like the lawyer of said, I don't have any other country to call me, and that's why I'm in this country with all the passion. It's also very important for everybody who really means well for this country to avoid fake and substantiated news and reports. The internet makes it easy for you to fact check some of these things. Just ask questions, look for the indices on the internet. It will give you the facts. The facts are there. Have we moved forward? Have we made progress? What is the rate of inflation? Has it dropped? Has it increased? What the percentage of people that are living below or above poverty line and all of that? Let's avoid thinking. The moving towards an election period, a fiscal election, for that matter. So let's get the facts. Let's thank everybody. I want to think Nigeria well. We are, like I said, an incredible optimist. I don't know, obviously, there's light at the end of the tunnel. I think we are at that end now. We want to see this live. It's been long since. It's like, just won't see you, Thank you to everyone who's been a part of the show. From all of us here in Abuja, from the studio, the guys in the NCR, and everybody who's made this incredible show that we have had. I want to thank you very much. Nigeria succeed, may it be well with our land, and may God bless all of us. Thank you so much for listening. I think that all of us here in Abuja is happy to have you today again, and thank you for watching.
Indeed. Lara Owoyewa is from LN 24/7 Abuja Center. Thank you so much for making this show what it is, right from morning till this point. And that's a wrap on Democracy Day special right here on LN 24/7. We've been able to take you through what democracy has been in Nigeria in the last 27 years, uninterrupted. We'll continue to talk. It doesn't end here. The conversation continues across all our social media handles. We only set the tone. Join us across all our social media handles where it is buzzing already. And also get the bigger picture on our content hub, www.ln247.news. Emenike Agu is my name. I thank you also for watching. We'll do it again, and we'll see you again. For now, thank you, and God bless you. Bye for now.